When people hear that I am decidedly child-free, the responses are kind of mixed. I think it's a little bit funny. I find a lot of like women and mothers will be like, oh, good job for knowing yourself. I often find that like more often men are just like, why not? I think because like the burden of, like pregnancy and childbirth isn't on them. Um, and a lot of men consider, like motherhood to be inherent to being a woman. They're a little bit more taken aback by it, which is a little bit annoying. Their ideas about like children and motherhood, I think, are very fundamentally different from women's. When people say that it's selfish not to have kids, that's a little bit confusing to me because I'm not taking anything from anybody by not having kids. And you could just as easily make the argument that, by having kids, you are, taking up resources in the world, taking up space in the world. You're people who have your DNA, are taking up space, on a planet that's already like overpopulated. Some people feel differently about that, but I think when parents who, have invested all of their time and energy and emotional bandwidth into their children see me pouring all of my resources and emotional bandwidth just back into myself and my partner, I could see how that might be interpreted as selfish. But again, if you never have a child, if you never have another person, in your life to take care of, you're not taking from anybody because that person was never there to begin with. So I think it's like a failure of like language or like just a fundamental like difference in how people value like human reproduction, I guess, if that makes sense. And I think women can contribute to society in positive ways without making more human beings. Women are more than their uteruses and their ability to make new people. That's a hot take for some people, but I just don't feel that way.
I guess, can you expand on that some more? Women being more than their uteruses?
Yeah, totally, totally. A lot of people don't feel that way. Some people might argue that by not making new human beings to go out into the world, that you're being selfish with your uterus and your childbearing skills. But I don't really see it that way. I don't think women owe the world new babies and new people, especially when you consider, how many kids do need homes, do need to be adopted or, foster.
Do you think that women are like inherent caregivers?
I don't think women are inherently caregivers. Just like, men aren't inherently not caregivers. A lot of like men have that instinct to be like, caregivers and like parents, and just the opposite. I don't think caregiving is inherent to women at all.
I think that's something I have a hard time with this, like, as I'm making my decision. It's like, I don't feel like I have any caregiving qualities.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't think it's very helpful to pigeonhole, caregiving instincts to just having a baby. I think you can fill caregiving roles in other ways. I think it's possible to, be a mentor to young people and young kids. You can volunteer. You can be a part of, like kids and young people's lives without being a parent. And you could even like extend that to, like efforts with like animals and like other things too. So I think there's like other ways to like scratch that itch if you have it too, is the other thing about it. And I think those kind of contributions, they fall under the umbrella of like caregiving, without being like a parent yourself. And I think those contributions are really important too.